Welcome to The Seasoned Sonographer, the podcast where experience meets education in the world of OBGYN ultrasound. My name is Lynn Flamm, and I'll be your host. I'm a registered diagnostic medical sonographer with over 32 years of experience, most of that time in OBGYN ultrasound. Through this podcast, I'm here to share insights, tips, and case studies to help you sharpen your skills and optimize your scans. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, this is the place to grow your knowledge and confidence. Let's dive into today's episode. This episode of The Seasoned Sonographer is proudly sponsored by SONA, SIH, Southern Illinois Healthcare, Rochal Health, and Sonotechniques Academy. SONA is helping healthcare organizations streamline image sharing and improve patient care through innovative technology solutions. SIH is committed to advancing healthcare excellence through Southern Illinois and supporting continuing education opportunities for imaging professionals. Rochal Health connects healthcare facilities with highly qualified ultrasound professionals nationwide while supporting ongoing professional development through education. And Sonotechniques Academy is providing on-demand OBGYN ultrasound education. Subscribe at www.sonotechniquesacademy.com, Apple App Store, and Google Play. We thank our sponsors for supporting ultrasound education and helping advance our passion. Welcome to The Seasoned Sonographer, the podcast where we explore people, technologies, and innovations shaping the future of ultrasound. I'm your host, Lynn Flamm, RDMS. And today we're discussing a topic that has generated significant interest throughout the ultrasound community, the emergence of the Advanced Practice Sonographer, or APS. As healthcare continues to evolve, sonographers are increasingly being recognized not only for their technical expertise, but also for their ability to contribute to patient care, quality improvement, education, research, and clinical collaboration. The advanced practice sonographer role has the potential to create new career pathways for experienced sonographers while helping address workforce shortages and improve access to care, particularly in rural communities and maternal healthcare deserts. Joining me today is Kristalea Nestle, RDMS, RDCS, FE, RVT, a maternal-fetal medicine sonographer, fetal echo specialist, ultrasound educator, and quality improvement advocate. Krystalea is also currently participating in a pilot advanced practice sonographer program, giving her a unique perspective on what this evolving role could look like in the future. In this episode, we'll discuss her journey into sonography, what the APS educational pathway entails, potential responsibilities of an advanced practice sonographer, how the role could impact patient care and healthcare delivery, and why many believe it may play an important role in expanding access to specialty ultrasound services in underserved communities. Krista, welcome to The Seasoned Sonographer. We're happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
For the listeners who may not know you, would you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and give us a brief bio?
Yes, so I live in central New York. I'm from a rural small town. I've been in ultrasound a little over 20 years now, mostly with a general and vascular background. About 4 years ago, I was getting a little burned out in the hospital setting and got the unique opportunity to help a new MFM in the area create a program, an MFM program. And so I was lucky enough to get the job, and we built it from the ground up. And I never even had done maternal-fetal medicine, so I had a lot to learn. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos, social media, anything I could do, webinars, anything to try to figure out how you do this stuff.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was an excellent opportunity to completely change my career.
I bet. And how did you even decide to become a sonographer?
Actually, my older sister had introduced me to the idea. And to be honest, I didn't look into anything else. I just said, I can do that. And that's what I did. I went to x-ray school first, then I went to ultrasound. And it's been a great career.
Cool. Yeah. Was there a particular experience, patient, or mentor who inspired your interest in maternal fetal medicine, or was it just that opportunity that you just had to embrace?
I
And
have always been drawn to women's imaging, breast, OB, GYN. For some reason, that was just always something I enjoyed. So I always enjoyed the OB aspect, and that's part of the reason I went into ultrasound. I love pregnancy. I think pregnancy is a beautiful thing, and that's just something that I've always enjoyed and been drawn to. So
Mhm.
the opportunity to go do a high risk area was unique because I live over an hour from the perinatal centers, so to have one a little bit closer was really nice.
that
And it
that
was
is,
and it was a unique experience because it was just initially an MFM doctor and me, and then we built another sonographer came aboard. And whenever, our rooms were or we didn't have enough space. So she would consult patients in my room with me. And so that experience there, like consulting patients, if we had positive findings or things we were questioning, she would consult with Rochester perinatologist or the pediatric cardiologist group from Syracuse. So every case I had, I got the instant feedback and follow up. So I could follow, the what the outcome was, what happened, what did they do? Did they have to deliver at a tertiary center? The experience was unbelievable what I got
yeah,
to learn there.
that's a great way to learn, and what a good
Yeah.
learning experience, and to elevate your skills to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the best thing.
So you're currently enrolled in a pilot advanced practice sonographer program. What exactly is an advanced practice sonographer?
So, an advanced practice sonographer, so the concept has been around for decades, and I've just learned about it over the past few years. And so, what I'm learning is, like, to be honest, a lot of us, I think, are already in that role. And the last 4 years in my MFM practice, I helped build protocols, I did preliminary reports, I helped build the consult notes. So, advanced practice sonographers, I would say our benefit is, we talked about this before years ago. Radiologists, you got to, go over every exam with a radiologist and learn real time. Those days are long gone. So how I see the APS role beneficial is you have newer sonographers, you go over the scan with them, you get the instant feedback on image critique, education, protocol development, so that's where I feel like that's where we can really help. And then if we do the preliminary reports for the radiologist, there's a nationwide shortage of physicians. So if at the end of the day or end of whatever the morning and they have to read all their scans, if they have, they can just go through the images, go through the report, and make sure everything matches how you like it and just hit sign. Because now you have somebody doing all the work, looking at the previous and comparing. That a lot of those scans take a lot of time.
You're exactly right. Like you and I talked before, the way you and I learned years ago is not how the new sonographers are learning today. And,
Mhm.
some things change for the better and some things change, and you think maybe it's not so good, but it's just the way it is now. As technology evolved and telemedicine evolved, that feedback from the radiologists immediately is not there, and that learning experience has been taken away
It
from
has.
sonographers by not getting that feedback.
100%.
Yeah. So what does this APS educational pathway look like, and who's qualified? What credentials do you need to get into a program?
So, there's only this all started with advanced cardiac sonography. There's two programs in the country, to my understanding. One of them is the school that I go to in Fresno, California at Community Regional. So they've been accredited for the cardiac program for the last 10 years. They've been piloting the vascular and perinatal program. I believe the vascular program just got accredited, so that's very exciting. So other than that, there are no programs. So I feel like the people that I have connected with that who are in these roles are people who have proven, they they understand ultrasound, they enjoy mentoring, they enjoy teaching. So a lot of them were built within their own systems, so because right now there are no programs. And so I think that's kind of the exciting part is that, yes, let's build them, but it's kind of exciting that you don't have to really wait for them. Build it now, you know?
Right. So do you have to be MFM and
So
fetal echo to qualify?
in my particular case, I'm in the perinatal program. So I did have to have MFM experience, fetal echo cardiography, license, register. Um, Other than that, there's it's a very, very small class. There's only 5 or 6 of us. So, and it was just by luck how I got into it. So I don't really know all the criteria. I know you have to have a bachelor's degree, and probably so many years of experience, but definitely for the perinatal, you have to have the fetal echo behind you. But vascular, you probably just have to be an RVT, and same with the cardiac, probably just have to be have your RDCS to get in, I would imagine. There might be more to it. I don't know. I was a late comer. How it all came about, I was kind of scooted in towards the end.
Mhm.
So I don't really know exactly
Sometimes
how.
sometimes that's just how it happens, and you need
Yeah,
to take advantage of the situation at the time and say, "Hey, I'm in. Let's
it
go."
was perfect timing
Good.
for me. It really was because I was already talking about this with my leadership team and the radiologist at my hospital because I had seen, I'm like, hey, this could be helpful. I think we should do this. So, like, okay, how do we do this? So then I start researching, and then all of a sudden now I get accepted into this program. It really just fell into place for me. And we don't have to go to there are no programs right now. You don't have to do that. But for me, it was important to me. I wanted to do it. And I
Right.
think to be seen as a mid-level and hopefully rise to where we want to be, I think education programs will be the way to go. But right now they just don't really exist.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
So there kind of are no rules right now.
no, there's no rules. We get to build it, which
Right.
I
That's
think
great.
to me, I think that's really exciting. And I've been
Yeah.
having fun doing that. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah. What does that program look like?
Mhm.
Obviously, the attendees are probably all across the nation. And so, what's your obligation for in
Yes,
person
good
instruction?
question. So actually, most of them are all local out there. So I think this was the first time she opened it up to national students. So everyone there is from California. I'm from New York, and one of our other students is from Colorado. And then I believe one of the cardiac students might be she's also from the Midwest. I can't remember. So it's an 18-month hospital-based program. So it's a certificate program. And it is all online, except you do have to go on site for 3 1-week residencies. They're about less than a week, but a few days. Um, so you have to go out there, and we're all together, the vascular, the cardiac, and the perinatal, which I thought was really cool that we are all grouped together, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
So yeah, so a lot of it's learning on your own, reading, and then we do about once a month we'll do like a Zoom meeting with our perinatal class, and we for our fetal echo class we had to go over fetal echoes, and it's interesting, like she made us present those cases. So it was just,
Cool.
you're on your toes, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she.
So,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
So I was thinking, what does like a job description look like? You kind of talked about really being the mentor, giving
Yep.
that feedback, reviewing images,
Yep. I would
working
say,
directly with the radiologist.
yep, I would say protocol development, quality assurance programs, to make sure that everyone's following protocols and you're doing the best job that you can. Um, let's see.
How do you give feed? How do you plan on giving feedback on, let's say you have a fairly new sonographer
Yep.
and just things are just not good. I mean, are you planning on just spending a lot of time with that person and, building them up that way? Because it would be hard to just say, listen, every single scan, your abdomen circumference stinks.
Yes, yes.
or
So,
whatever.
I'm actually a clinical instructor already. So I work a lot with the students. So I'm comfortable saying, hey, I don't like this, let's do this. So, and I guess if it was a problem, I would of course, review and go over it with them. But if it becomes a problem, I would probably have to have leadership get involved because maybe they're just not getting it, or, if sometimes people struggle with it. Maybe we could figure out if there's something else they need to help learn that or something.
Right.
But it's something I already kind of do. Like I actually already am this role where I'm at. Sonographers and radiologists call me to consult. Like, hey, what do you think of this case? What do you think of this? So like I feel like I'm already doing it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
hmm
And you and I had talked, we've talked a couple times now, but we had talked about, since there really isn't an APS role yet,
hmm
that sonographers with experience and that confidence and that leadership in their own departments can create this role for
hmm
themselves and start now. There's
Exactly.
no need to wait for this to get into a program. There's,
hmm
step up to the plate,
hmm
offer to do these things
Yep.
as a leader in your department, and talk to the radiologist who's
hmm
reading your scans and say, hey, I can work with you, I can work for you and make your life easier. And
Yep.
I've developed this quality assurance program.
Exactly. And just start talking about it because I had only learned about it just over the past few years. And I was a little embarrassed to talk about it a little bit because I never thought it would ever happen. But then I bring it to my leadership team and the radiologist, and no one has even heard of it. But when I told them the concept and that the SDMS has an article on it that they think this is a great idea, so that everyone's like, "Oh, this is great then, but how do we do it?" You know? And the Society of Radiologists in Ultrasound, they have an advanced practice sonographer initiative. So I definitely recommend people joining that group. And then, we've only had, I believe, one meeting or two meetings, but there's a lot. They had the SDMS a part of it. There's a lot of people who are listening and we have their attention. So it's a really exciting time.
Good. It is
hmm
exciting. And you're in the
hmm
pilot program,
yeah,
pioneer in this role, really,
yeah, yep.
that I think will really, I think it'll catch on.
I think so too.
I think it's just a matter of time before people really
Yep.
start recognizing it.
And from
Uh,
what I'm noticing, most people are in like academic centers, like your bigger cities. So
mhm.
I'm sure it's wonderful. But I truly see the value in your rural departments. Like in our case, we went from 17 radiologists down to five in the last 4 years. A lot of our general exams are going to telemedicine. Report turnaround times are long. You don't have that feedback, or even when you do have a positive finding, you don't have anyone to talk to. And these are your new grads. It's not good. So
Right.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
like, this needs to happen.
Yeah. So one of my next questions was, um, talking about the many areas in the country are experiencing physician shortages, particularly in these rural communities and OB deserts. And so, how do you see the APS role helping address these challenges? And like you said, it's you already answered the question.
hmm
It's just giving that feedback, working closer, bringing that care to the rural communities, and
Yep.
streamlining that process.
Yep. And I see, it's interesting from my perspective that I'm an MFM sonographer in a general OB setting. I bring a lot of knowledge to that. And so I wish more MFM sonographers or OB general sonographers have that knowledge. That you don't have to have all of the knowledge, but if you can know the heart a little more, or the polyhydramnios, or if you see this, look for this, like that critical thinking, I
Right.
think it would make such a big difference. I think I
Mhm.
told you last time, we had this scan. A friend of mine called me. She goes, I see this extra vessel, and it was an intrathymal left brachiocephalic vein. So I let them know that. The radiologist looked it up, confirmed normal variant. So that patient didn't have to go and be referred to an MFM center. So things like that, like they're so valuable. If we could figure out how to elevate our standards across the board. So if But the hardest part for fetal,
Yeah, in the general
yes,
OBGYN offices, elevate these sonographers
yes,
to a higher level, like
yes.
the MFM level, in order to,
Hmm.
because a lot of times when they do all these referrals to MFM, patients don't have the resources, the transportation.
Exactly.
If you have to drive 2 hours to a large
Hmm.
center, that's gas and food.
Hmm.
And you need a drink while you're there, and it's
Yeah.
$3 for a drink. And
Yeah.
you've had to get daycare, and
Yep, exactly. Or in our case, we even have an MFM shortage. So patients are having to wait a while to get in. And then I've been hearing they sometimes have to go in two different times, one for the scan and the other time for the consult. Like I just hate hearing that, you
yeah,
know?
that's too bad. And
And it's one thing, patients are going to have to go, but a lot of people don't have to. Like if we could raise our standards, you know what I
right. And
mean?
we have patients that won't go because they
Yes,
don't have the resources, and you can't be mad at them. I mean, like,
exactly.
we just can't go.
Yeah.
And so the general OBGYN sonographer has to really step up.
Hmm.
And, if you don't know, you better be studying when you see the night before, when you see their name on your schedule the next day, knowing that they have not been to MFM, and it's
Hmm.
all falling on you.
Yep. And that's hard. And then the radiologists aren't terribly comfortable with it either, you know?
Mhm.
So what do you do?
Right,
You
right.
know?
And then so the impact this could have on maternal and fetal outcomes is, I
Hmm.
mean, is phenomenal and
Hmm.
monumental to having an advanced practice sonographer in some of these
Hmm.
rural settings and OB deserts.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
one thing that bothers me is I wish what I've noticed in my, experience, we are not supported to go to conferences, and that's where, people are talking about this stuff. They are, but
mhm.
who's going? You know what I mean? Like,
Nobody can afford to go.
exactly. That's what I'm like.
Nobody
I've never
can
been.
any money.
Exactly.
Advocated for yourself to get to somehow get CME money from your employer,
Yep.
you don't get $2,500 or $3,000 a
No,
year for CME money. So you're probably not going to these large conferences where all these things, all
are
these
talked
higher
about.
level things are talked about.
Exactly.
It's
So
and
that's something I wish could make a difference. I think it would make a big difference if we could figure out how to bring that to the general sonographer. I don't know how you do that, you know,
right.
but
I think webinars are good.
mhm, mhm,
Um, you get a lot of these physicians on there that are taking it to the next level and
mhm.
really helping um, a lot of sonographers. So
Yep.
thank
But then
goodness.
it's hard. Like for me, I spend a lot of my own time doing this in the evenings, watching webinars and taking time away from my family,
Mhm.
but it's something that I'm so passionate about that I'm not going to stop. You know what I mean? Like I try to balance both, but not
Right.
many people are willing to do that or can do that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's like, how do you get this?
Right. I was just thinking
Mhm.
there's a webinar tonight that I think GE's doing that we're missing, I
I
think.
know. Sorry at 7.
See, okay, yeah, yeah. I hated that when I saw that. I was like, oh no, we're
Yes.
overlapping,
Yes.
because that would have been a good one. So,
Yes.
but so who would make a good candidate for the advanced practice sonographer program?
I think someone who is technically, just ultrasound comes natural to you. You love learning, you love teaching, you love mentoring. Somebody who still loves ultrasound, like I just feel like, and you have to be people's cheerleader. This is one thing that I have learned from my professor. She is incredible. And she is your biggest cheerleader. And I love that quality, and that's kind of how I've always been. But now I really, coming from the receiving end of that, I see the value in that.
Mhm.
Like when you're training people and teaching people, be positive, like you got this, like, or if you need help, let me know. Like I'm constantly sending articles to people. Like I do it constantly. Like, let me know if I can help you. Like, I'm a nerd and I read this stuff constantly. Every day I'm reading something. Like, if I don't have the info, I will get you that info. So
Mhm.
I try to be a good resource for my colleagues.
Right. And, I have been the recipient of all those things that you were just talking about. You've been such a wonderful person to help support me and be so kind to come on my podcast and comment and say nice things. And, so many people that I've met through LinkedIn and social
Hmm.
media have just been so supportive. And I do think that we have sonographers supporting sonographers and
Definitely.
lifting them up,
Yep.
educating and supporting people who are trying to educate
And
because it's
especially
not
when you,
easy.
I'll say, especially when you put yourself out there, it's a little uncomfortable. So when you have,
Right.
you're being cheered on, it empowers you to keep doing it, you know?
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. I'm
Hmm.
just thinking, I just received some feedback from a person in the industry about my app, and I was just so humbled and
Mm,
grateful and gracious to receive those comments. And so, yeah, I just, because you question yourself sometimes too,
absolutely.
and you think,
Absolutely.
did I do the right thing? Is this right? So receiving that validation from other sonographers and leaders in the industry is just phenomenal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I could not agree more.
So, do you actually think that this APS position could create a new career ladder in sonography?
I do.
And I saw that MFM initiative where there's a big push to get MFM recognized as a
Hmm.
specialty.
Yes. And maybe that would motivate other sonographers to elevate, you know?
Right, right.
So I think it's a wonderful idea.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, what advice would you give sonographers interested in pursuing this pathway?
What I would do is I would start talking about it in your department to the other sonographers, to your leadership, to the radiologist. And one thing that I did is, part of my job description that they created for me was to create the MFM telemedicine program, but also to review cases, review reports. And so seeing some discrepancies in the reports that are not up to industry standards, the report turnaround time, the long turnaround time with the telemedicine, so I was seeing all these things that I'm like, I know I can help with. So I compiled that into a write-up and I sent that to my leadership team. So that's how I got the conversation going. I see these problems and I have an idea of how I can help you, and it was very well received. But at first, they're like, what do we do? How do we make that happen? And we're still working on that,
Right.
but that's where I've joined the SRU. There's a Facebook group that we're all in and people ask questions and post things. It's so nice to have people who think like you and who
Mhm.
might, if you have a question, no question is stupid. Some of these people have already been doing it. Some of these
Right.
APSs have been doing this 20 years. What
Mhm.
great resources they are, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So,
Right. So is there a certain number of like scans that you review per month, or is there a way you select those? Is it random?
yep, I would
How
say
does
it's
that work?
random. Well, and actually, I'm even doing it more so now because I have to do that for my class. So
Uh-huh.
while I'm in school, it's an 18-month program. While I'm in this program, I have to review cases, make sure are people meeting protocol, how, image critique. I mean, I don't give that feedback to them. I mean, unless it was to come up, but I'm doing this strictly for my school. And then how did the radiologist read that? Because that's prepping me on how to write the reports.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Where do you see this role in 5 years?
I think it's going to be huge.
It's going to catch on
I think
fast.
it's going to catch on. I think
I,
it's going to be huge.
I
Yeah.
hope so because it's so needed. And
Hmm.
um, what excites you most about the future of ultrasound?
I'm excited to build this. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see where it goes, and it's just, I've been, reading about it for the past couple of years, just a little bit here and there. And now all of a sudden seeing what I've seen and knowing how I can help. Like, I love the idea. Like, people reach out to me all the time. Hey, what is this? How do we make this happen? And I tell everybody, start talking about it. I think that's number one. Start talking about it, let people
Yes.
know this exists. And then, I'm hoping at some point, we can like create a document to give to like your leadership team. Like, just this is kind of how you get started.
Right. This is what I'm proposing. This is my
Yeah.
role. What it
Yeah.
would. These are the things that I would do.
Hmm.
This is the quality assurance that I would provide every
Yep.
month,
Yep.
and whatever. And this is how I would give the feedback. That's yeah.
Hmm.
That's great. Create like a job description kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So, if there's one message that you would like listeners to take away from today's discussion, what would it be?
I would say always stay humble because you will never know everything. And the amount that there is to learn is unbelievable. And just try to think of your patients, as your family. That's what I've always done. I want to do the best for my patients and their family because what we do can change their lives, and I don't take that lightly, you
Yeah,
know?
I agree. And I don't either because, when you scan in a small rural community, that is the neighbor's sister.
Yes, it is.
Is your aunt's niece on the other
Mhm.
side, that
Yeah.
you're caring for your people.
Yep.
And that is so rewarding to me to help,
Me
our
too.
small communities and
Yep.
do the best we can for the people in them.
Yep.
So,
And especially where I am, this is my home. This is where I've lived
yeah.
practically my whole life,
Mhm.
So it really means something to me. And there's always some kind of a connection. I'm a talker with my patients, and we always talk, "Hey, where are you from?" Half the time we've crossed paths, or we have the same friends, or So
Yeah.
I would want somebody to do that for me and
Yeah,
my
it's a
family.
small world, and I think that gives patients a lot of comfort knowing that they're not just a number in some big
Exactly.
city. They're,
Yeah,
they're somebody, so
exactly.
that's important.
Yep.
Well, Krista, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your experience as a
Yeah.
sonographer and an educator. And thanks for talking to us about the advanced practice sonographer role and the program that you're in. Um, the advanced practice sonographer role represents an exciting opportunity to expand the impact of sonographers, improve patient care, strengthen quality initiatives, and create new pathways for professional growth. And perhaps most importantly, it may help improve access to specialty ultrasound services for patients living in rural communities and maternal health care deserts where access to OB and maternal fetal medicine care can be limited. So, as healthcare continues to evolve, innovative roles like the APS may become an important part of the solution for improving access, quality, and outcomes for patients across the country. Thank you again to our sponsors, SONA, SIH, Rochelle Health, and Sono Techniques Academy for supporting ultrasound education and helping advance our profession. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your colleagues. I'm Lynn Flamm, and you've been listening to The Seasoned Sonographer. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and keep making a difference one patient at a time. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of The Seasoned Sonographer. If you're interested in improving your OBGYN ultrasound skills and learning more about the field, make sure to subscribe to The Seasoned Sonographer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You don't want to miss any of the upcoming episodes. You can also connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at Sono Techniques Academy. Explore more educational resources on the Sono Techniques Academy app or reach out via email, lynn@sonotechniquesacademy.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions or topics you'd like for me to cover, feel free to reach out. This podcast is for you, and I want to make sure I'm covering the topics that matter most to you and to the ultrasound community. Until next time, keep striving for excellence in your scans, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Seasoned Sonographer. The information provided in this podcast and any accompanying materials is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice.